Recently I have found myself kind of just doing anything, and one of those things being starting a YouTube channel. So today I figured, since you kind of have no idea who I am, that there is no better way to understand a girl than by following her everyday routine. So I just... Who are you? Oh, you're letterboxed, and you're asking me my top 4 films of all time. Well, okay.
Cal?
Yeah.
Are you happy?
As a girl living in a town that is not particularly top of the pyramid, the story of Waitress is one that I oftentimes find myself thinking about. This film follows a young woman named Jenna Hunterson, who spends her days cooped up in a small town diner baking her life away with pies. Except, she doesn't think of it this way, because nothing to her feels as endless and menial as what is waiting for her back at home, aka her shitbag husband. So instead, she bakes to escape this town, to escape her husband, and to escape the fact that she may in fact be pregnant with his baby. Therefore, I resonate with Waitress a lot, because as a 19-year-old girl, I don't have to further explain. Wait, they're making me further explain. The main reason I find this story so charming, however, is its use of community to portray hope. Jenna, to her core, is a very lonely person, but she gets through her pregnancy by finding camaraderie through the smaller relationships in her life, such as her co-workers, her doctor, and even the cranky old bum who owns the diner. Who, by the way, is arguably the best character. Anyways, as someone who has so recently graduated from high school, I cannot even begin to stress how much these types of relationships start impacting your life. Okay, I'm obviously in a very different position, but the second you aren't surrounded by your close circle of friends every single waking minute, you start to realize that at the end of the day, that awkward girl that you were in high school, baby, she's all you got. And you better make that emotion into a pie.
Flames on the side of my face.
Yeah, I was in board game club as a kid. What about it? And on a scarier note, I was also definitely a true crime kid, which has evolved into this endless love for the whodunit genre. And let me tell you, this is the best of the best. If you're for some reason unfamiliar with the game, Clue follows a group of 6 iconic aristocrats in a mansion who are trying to figure out which one of them murdered a mysterious victim, and where, and what they did it with. The amount of quotable lines in this film, you could genuinely build a village. My personal favourite is when Colonel Mustard asks Mrs. White how many husbands she's had, to which she responds that husbands should be like Kleenex, soft, strong, and disposable. Oh, she spilled. And on that, the thing I admire the most about this film is its absolute plethora of ferociously fierce divas. Madeline Kahn, you are legendary. I find a lot of dark comedies oftentimes utilise their female characters as one-dimensional ingenues, providing each scene with a "Oh my god, how is this man gonna save us from the murderer?" But Clue would never be caught dead. See what I did there? I'm making a male character interesting. Maybe besides Tim Curry. But he's an honorary woman.
I could hardly point out that Henry now had no time left for any kind of activity.
Okay, now that I've held you captive for long enough, I think it's time we get a little pretentious. So Kind Hearts and Coronets is another dark comedy, except this time we know exactly who done it, because it's just the same guy, over and over again. The film follows a poor gentleman called Louis, as he finds out at his mother's funeral that he's actually been a part of the aristocratic family his entire life. And nobody thought to tell him? Girl, if I found out that I was a Disney princess my entire life and nobody told me, oh, it would be war. And once he finds out this information, he decides that the only logical thing to do would be to murder each one of his relatives so that he can become the Lord. I have always wanted to do one of these. But guys, I meant Earl. Because I feel like the Lord is a very different thing. Honestly, when you think about it, Kind Hearts and Coronets is low-key the OG Saltburn. I also have to give a massive shout out to Alec Guinness, who manages to play every single one of these aristocrats. And with such talent and ease, it's honestly shocking. I think this performance should be talked about in schools more. It is honestly a timeless role. Or roles. I would also love to take this opportunity to give a shout out to the musical adaptation, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. It probably has one of my favourite scores ever. We have Jefferson Mays in Guinness's role, who is another incredible and underrated actor. And we have Bryce Pinkham playing the main guy, who was renamed to Monty, and that is not the only change that they make, because they also decide that his love interest, Phoebe, aka Edith in the original movie, instead of being his cousin's wife, should be his actual cousin, which is a very interesting choice for a Tony Award winning musical to make. I'm not really sure why that was a decision, but you know what, given the fact that the original movie ends with about 7 drops of the N-word, which is something I do not condone, just wanted to put that out there, I think that may be the least of our worries.
What are you talking about? Let's keep going.
So, funny story about this last one. I went and saw Rocky Horror Picture Show last spring, and it absolutely was what everyone says it is. Amazing, perfect, stunning, incredible. But as we were leaving, my mum suggested this movie to me, and I replied, what relation does that have to do with anything we just saw? Girl, Susan Sarandon. Anyway, it's safe to say that when I eventually got around to watching Thelma and Louise, I never ever told her, because I didn't want her to have the satisfaction of recommending me the literal best movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Number one, let's get this out of the way because it has literally nothing to do with the entire movie. This is Brad Pitt's acting debut. Brad Pitt, you may have gained a fan, because that's kind of iconic. This movie will steal your heart and then proceed to stomp on it, break it into a million pieces, and throw it into a blender. Thelma, I find, is kind of similar to Jenna from Waitress, in which she just wants to escape her mundane life and abusive husband. Okay, so she is Jenna from Waitress. And then Louise works at the local diner, and they actually both might be Jenna from Waitress. Anyways, one day they decide that they are done living like trash, so they decide to embark on a road trip. At first, running away is nerve-wracking, but completely freeing. But then, after an irreversible mistake, running becomes all that they can do. Every single aspect of this road trip feels like you were right there in that car with them. The lighting, the costumes, the set, not to mention the soundtrack. Genuinely every time I'm living my life and I hear that, it is instant tears. Thelma and Louise is one of those films that you can put on and expect to know exactly what you're gonna get, and then still have your life completely changed by the end. And I think that for me makes this movie absolute perfection and something that is gonna be glued tight to my top 4 for a very long time to come. I'm actually getting a little emotional thinking about it right now. Do you guys have any tissues? No? Okay then, thanks for the opportunity. Was that like really weird to any of you guys, or was that just me? Please let me know if you liked whatever the fuck that was. I also want to mention that Pitch Perfect 2 was absolutely very close to making the cut, but I just really don't appreciate Emily Junk for interrupting the riff off. Also, Beck Chloe should have been canon.